Dear brothers and sisters, this is a homily for Ash Wednesday, year C, 2025. Therefore, we can ask ourselves, why do we celebrate Ash Wednesday? Because each time this Ash Wednesday comes up. But today, let us ask ourselves. And here are the three reasons as to why we celebrate Ash Wednesday. 1. On this Ash Wednesday, we receive ashes. These ashes reminds us of our mortality as human beings. Therefore, we are limited. And when we are limited, we seek help from another person, and this person is God, because we are a limited being. Therefore, when we read Genesis chapter 3 verse 19, it reminds us that we are human beings, we are mortal, therefore we depend on God. We rely on God to help us. The second reason as to why we celebrate this Ash Wednesday is that it marks the beginning of Lent. The Lenten period lasts 40 days. These 40 days, we imitate what Christ lived in the desert. He entered into the desert, he was tempted, and he came out victorious. Therefore, during this period of Lent that lasts 40 days, we live it with Christ. We enter into the life of Christ as Christians, so that we journey with him up to Calvary and we come out like him victorious. So this Ash Wednesday reminds us the beginning of Lenten period. And the final reason as to why we are celebrating this Ash Wednesday is that it reawakens in us the important aspects that we are supposed to practice as Christians. And these aspects are these: 1, prayer; 2, charity; and finally, fasting. So these three aspects, these three things are very important for us as Christians. And during this period of Lent, we are invited to live these three aspects so that we can cultivate the deeper and deeper relationship with God through prayer, having more time to pray; through charity, having what we have in excess, we share with those who don't have; and also denying ourselves. So essentially it is what you deny yourself, you give it to the person who needs more, and you have more time with God through prayer. And also during this period, as we seek reconciliation, as we seek deeper relationship with God, we are also invited to overcome some temptations that we have as Christians. Temptations are not bad in themselves, but then they are important for us as Christians. And I want us to borrow an example of what St. Thomas of Villanova talks of the advantages, the benefits of temptations. The first one is temptations tests our love for God. Because Deuteronomy chapter 13 verse 3, which says, "The Lord your God tempts you so that he may establish or may know how much you love him." So in this sense, we are tempted so that we show our love, our faithfulness, just like Christ showed his faithfulness to God despite the temptations. The second reason as to why we are tempted and why temptation is important is that it brings out, or God offers us salvation through temptations. He wants to save us from those temptations. Therefore, it is important that we undergo these temptations just like Christ, so that we can be saved as human beings. The third importance of temptations is that it humbles us, it instructs us. Through temptations, we are able to humble ourselves, to accept our fragility, to accept who we are, and therefore rely on God's help. That we are mortal beings, therefore we need God into our lives for help. The fourth advantage or benefit of temptations is that it brings us back to God. Temptations panel beat us to go back to God, because it awakens, temptations awakens in us the sense of having God into our lives. Therefore, it brings us back to God. The fifth advantage of temptations is that it creates a desire in us, so that we can have or desire a heavenly home, a better world where we shall be. So, when we experience temptations in this world, we think of the opposite, and the opposite is a better life, a good life, a life without problems, and that is our heavenly city. The final reason, and the sixth, according to St. Thomas of Villanova, is that temptations help us to think and also to be reserved for the crown that exists in heaven. Because when we cross the temptations, we know that after that there will be a reward given. Therefore, we endure these temptations so that at the end of it all, we may be able to get this crown. Dear brothers and sisters, on this Ash Wednesday, we are called to live our vocation as Christians, especially through the three aspects: the prayer life, the charity life, and also to fast, so that we can be able to have a deeper relationship with God. Let us also pray for one another more deeply, especially our Pope Francis and others who are sick, so that the good Lord may heal them. Let us also seek reconciliation, because we know, because of our mortal, our fragile nature, our limitedness, we have drifted away from God. But just during this period, let us go back to Him with all our humility, so that He may help us. He is a faithful God who gives us an opportunity always to re-establish a good relationship with Him. Have a blessed Lenten period.